This story starts like a fairy tale, just a jolly adventure across the countryside, full of life, vibrancy, and hope. But this is Westeros, and fairy tales don't survive here. By the end, it's a savage collision between chivalry and the reality of the Seven Kingdoms. Episode 1 sets a nice, friendly pace, and it introduces us to Duncan and Egg. The show has a warm and friendly tone, which is a breath of fresh air to be invited on a merry journey with a simple man who has aspirations of becoming a noble knight. We, as the viewer, already know from previous shows that nobility within the Seven Kingdoms is utterly corrupt and barbaric. It's a world where complicated characters often have fleeting moral aspirations that usually get buried within an avalanche of sinister schemes and machinations. But legends, here stands Dunk, a man who has something no one else does. He has ideals, a belief in what a knight is supposed to be, and by hook or by crook, this guy is going to live up to that standard, even when the world around him laughs at him for it. He's mocked and dismissed by most, and almost always perceived as naive, for trying to live up to an ideal that no one else in this world even pretends to follow anymore. And that makes him so endearing. That innocent hopefulness just draws you into his journey, because you just know that Westeros is going to do Westeros things to him. And then you have Egg, a young, sharp orphan boy who wants to be his squire. Egg seems to be more than he lets on. There's a quickness to him, an awareness to him that just doesn't quite match the life he claims to have had. Where Dunk is honest and painfully straightforward at times, Egg is measured and observant. He understands people and knows how the world works, but most importantly, he understands what Dunk is trying to be. You get the sense that Egg admires Duncan's perspective on knighthood, because Duncan represents something this world is missing. The show is vibrant and pleasant to watch, with colourful sets and joyful music, all of which pulls you into a story that is reassuringly grounded. It's nice to have something that doesn't have dragons raining fire and ash upon burning cities, or armies of the risen dead descending upon humanity in biblical proportions. This is a simple story, a genuine and engaging story that pulls you into its pleasantness from its first episode. This isn't about ruling the realm, it's about two people just earnestly and honestly living in it. Whether it's a hearty breakfast of salt beef and goose eggs on the road, or quiet conversations where they talk about what life could be in the years to come. We watch the dynamic of these characters settle in, and a comfort begins to form. They enjoy each other's company, and as an audience, so do we. You start to feel like you're part of it, like you're walking the road with them. And that's where the show really wins, because their chemistry is the show. This is the kind of show where you can just sit back with a cup of tea, reach for the biscuit tin and cozy up with the cast. The dialogue also feels different. I'm not saying it's better than Game of Thrones, but it feels more sincere. Now, that's not a slight against Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon. Those shows are packed with incredible performances, but almost every scene in those shows is built for impact and intensity. It's like the cast are always swinging for a BAFTA. Every line of dialogue feels like it's been written with the fate of the world in the balance. Except Elena Tyrell. She is exempt from criticism now and forever.
What is your name again?
Obata.
You look like an angry little boy. Don't presume to tell me what I need.
Forgive my sister.
Do shut up, dear. Anything from you? No. Good. Let the grown women speak.
Greatest of all time, Elena Tyrell, the GOAT. In Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, the performances feel grounded and restrained, just like in real life. They're just talking, living in the moment, existing in the conversation. And that subtle change makes a massive difference in the tone. It feels organic, and because of that, the actors don't have to swing for the fences with every line. They can pull back, let the small moments do the work. A look or a pause. It all adds to the feeling that this world is real, not performed. And that's what draws you in. Not spectacle or scale, but sincerity. Because a Knight of the Seven Kingdoms doesn't grab you by the collar and drag you into its world. It gently welcomes you in, with a carefully crafted ensemble of components that leaves you feeling pleasantly satisfied with its authenticity. Just circling back to Dunk briefly, legends, you know what really adds to his charm? It's his uncanny ability to say the most honest thing imaginable, at the absolute worst possible time.
You must forgive my brother, sir. His sons went astray on the way here, and he fears for them. Trust they will not be found dead.
I mean, bless him. That might be the worst thing you could say to a concerned father, let alone royalty. And that's Dunk. He doesn't understand the game. He doesn't navigate politics or dress things up. He just says what he thinks, honest and unfiltered. And that's risky in Westeros, because this is a world where words are weapons, where every sentence is calculated. And then you've got this bloke walking into rooms full of nobles, basically speaking like he's still sat by a campfire. He's a lummox, but a lovable one. And that's why you get drawn into him. You find yourself rooting for him, wanting him to succeed, wanting him to become the knight he already believes he is. But at the same time, you just can't shake the feeling that it's gonna cost him. Because in Westeros, virtue doesn't get rewarded. It gets exploited and twisted. And more often than not, it gets you killed in someone else's Game of Thrones. Honourable mention to Sir Lyonel Baratheon, the Laughing Storm, a man who clearly enjoys living. Sir Lyonel is larger than life. With a belly full of wine and laughter, his cheeky smile and quick wit can win everyone over. Here's a man who likes things in excess, and he manages to get Dunk to loosen up on more than one occasion. I think this guy has the funniest lines in the show.
An itchy asshole is beyond your abilities, my friend. Be gone, witch. Fuck off with you.
Yes, ma'am. At once.
But legends, this is still Westeros. And that means we can still expect brutal, visceral, and graphic violence when it occurs. And it's displayed in the underlying theme of the show, the jousting and the tournaments. They don't shy away from the true brutality of this medieval sport. Knights getting crushed beneath their horses, lances splintering into eyes, and heads being crushed inside of their metal helmets. In true Game of Thrones fashion, the camera remains on the moment, instead of cutting away to a splash of gore or a bystander's reaction. It lingers long enough for you to completely take in the vulgarity of it. This has always been one of the elements of Game of Thrones that I felt draws you in, because it doesn't shy away from showing you the repercussions of people's choices in the darkness of medieval times. It doesn't sanitize the fight scenes. It's the fear that characters you grow to like can be unceremoniously taken off the board. That keeps you on the edge of your seat when you're watching. Because in the Seven Kingdoms, violence is final and often meaningless. Eventually, Dunk and Egg are pulled into the politics of the realm. Not by choice, but because in Westeros, you don't get to sit on the sidelines forever. Duncan was only ever going to get so far before he encountered dishonour in nobility. And if he wants to uphold chivalry, he will have to stand against those acts of oppression when they occur. And that's exactly what happens. And Duncan's carefree life as a hedge knight comes crashing to a halt when he stands up for what he believes in. And this is where the tone shifts. The light-hearted charm gives way to something deeper, something more complicated and dangerous. Sides are chosen, allegiances are made, and battle is on the horizon. And if Dunk wants to survive in this world, and if he truly wants to be a knight, he's going to have to stand against the corruption of the Game of Thrones, which culminates in Sir Duncan's trial by combat. 7 knights against 7 knights. Oaths sworn, blades drawn, and shields at the ready. It's dirty, gritty, and bloody. A grand medieval showdown. It starts on horseback, but that doesn't last long. Eventually, most of them are unhorsed, and then it just descends into chaos. It doesn't look like a well-choreographed duel. It looks like a brawl. Knights are rolling around in the wet mud, maiming each other with maces and blades, grappling and scrambling to get the upper hand however they can. The exhaustion sets in for the knights rather quickly, and the desperation is palpable. You can feel the weight of the armor that they're wearing and the extent of every injury they suffer. It would have been so easy to shoot this like a grand set piece with wide shots and clean choreography, a polished action sequence designed to impress. But they didn't. They kept it close. It's dirty and personal. And because of that, they knock it out of the park, Legends. Not because it's bigger, but because it's raw and grimy. Just like it would have been centuries ago. So what we're left with after all of this is a world that understands what a lot of modern fantasy has forgotten. It doesn't need to be louder to be powerful, because a Knight of the Seven Kingdoms isn't chasing spectacle. It's chasing a story that will draw you in and take you on a journey. It wants you to sit by the river with its characters and contemplate what lays beyond the horizon. It wants you to ride on horseback beside a hedge knight as he prepares for his first big tourney. It wants you to contemplate breakfast by the campfire on a joyful spring morning. But then it makes you watch as an idealist has to become a pragmatist in a very dark and very unforgiving realm of Machiavellian manipulation and intrigue. I've said it before in previous videos, but I think we are getting dangerously close to spectacle fatigue. We need more grounded stories that we can relate to. And Legends, this is definitely one of them. Knight of the Seven Kingdoms tells the journey of two young men, walking their path and living their truth. And that truth will invite you in for the good times and the bad. This show gets 8 stars from the Hex Effect. It delivered for me. I was engaged from episode 1 all the way through to episode 6. I'm excited for next season and I'm looking forward to a rewatch. Thanks for joining me in Westeros today, Legends. Please take a moment to subscribe. It's just one click and it really helps me grow the channel. I've been Hex. He's been the life and soul of the party, and you've been Legends. See you next time.